Good morning. This lesson is for my Trig-Precalc class, but before I get started, I want to say that I hope everyone is doing all right out there. This is going to be for Chapter 5, Lesson 1. Let me just remind you of where we've gone so far, how we've gotten to this point. In Chapter 3, we were introduced to the unit circle, and we were introduced to angles that we could build using a compass and straight edge. Chapter 4, we started using right triangles to find lengths and angles. Okay. Now here in Chapter 5, I think we can get an understanding of what this lesson is about, and I have to erase the check mark because I didn't do a good job on the first attempt at this lesson, so I have to erase it and start over. But in Chapter 5, what we're going to do is we're going to use what we know to create new angles, to build new angles. And let's go ahead and talk about our goals here. So we're going to review the angles that we know on the unit circle. We're going to rewrite the new angles in terms of old angles. And our third goal is examples of the homework problems. So we know these angles. We do know more. We know all the angles that we use a calculator, but let's just pretend for a while we don't. And we'll look at this the old way where if you can't build it, it doesn't exist. That used to be a rule in mathematics. But these are all the angles that we know on the unit circle, right? If I want the cosine of any of these, I want the x-coordinate. If I have the sine of any of these, I want the y-coordinate. And if I want the tangent of any of these, it is the y-coordinate divided by the x-coordinate. So I think now I can check off the first goal for the second time, and I've done better this time than I did last time, but let's not jinx myself. I probably did. All right, our second goal is to rewrite new angles in terms of old angles. And the first angle I'd like to write is 75 degrees. How can I get 75 degrees out of angles that I know? And there's actually a couple ways to do this. I would think the first obvious way would be to add 30 degrees and 45 degrees, right? But there's another way to do it. It might not be so obvious. The second way I can write 75 degrees would be this. So I want us to be able to rewrite known angles using existing angles. Okay, I know what these angles are, and you're going to see here in the next couple lessons how we know how to use existing angles to find new angles. It's not so easy as adding this. If this was a cosine, it's not so easy as adding the adding the x-coordinates together if it was cosine, or the y-coordinates if it was sine. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but in order to get to that point, we need to understand how to deconstruct new angles in terms of angles that we know. All right? So there's multiple ways to get to an angle. I can add or I can subtract. Just keep that in mind. So I'm going to check off the second goal. All right, I've gotten further than I did last time. Okay, don't jinx yourself. On to goal 3, example of homework problem. So, rewrite angles using known angles. Rewrite new angles. Let me finish this. Rewrite new angles using known angles. How would I write 255 degrees? Well, let's see if I can do it by addition. Yeah, I can. I can go 210 degrees plus 45 degrees. And I can go 300 degrees minus 45 degrees. So I have two ways that I could get to this, and there's probably more ways that I could get to this angle, but again, that's part of their homework, right? The second type of problem would be to create new angles. What angle can you create as a combination of these that we don't know? So you saw how I created a 75 by adding 30 and 45. And you saw I could create a 75 by subtracting 135 from 60. So I want you to be able to use these numbers and figure out a way that you can create a new angle. Okay? So that's going to be the second one. I don't want to do too many of these because I think if I do another example, I might have found most of them. All right, our third type of homework problem. I'm not going to explain this very much, but I'm going to give you a clue. And it's how would you approximate these? Looking at 75 degrees, for example, how would you be able to approximate the sine of 75, the cosine of 75? What do you know for sure that would allow you to figure out an approximate value of sine of cosine of 75, cosine of 75? What tool could you use? And I like asking this question because you guys have the skill set to answer this. You actually have the skills to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and end this lesson here. We're probably going to have a discussion on it, but hopefully it's making sense that we can rewrite new angles in terms of old angles, and we can even approximate what these new angles might be based on something that you guys already have. Anyways, again, I hope everyone is doing all right out there. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.